Welcome back to the Tell Me Why English podcast. I'm Hero, and I'm super excited to be here with you all today.
And I'm Kira. It's great to be back with all our wonderful listeners. Thanks for tuning in, as always.
Absolutely. And Kira, today we have a really intriguing topic, I think, that often sparks a lot of questions.
Oh, I know. It's one of those things that, you think you understand, but then, it just gets you thinking. We're going to dive into why gravity, that familiar force that keeps us all, firmly planted on Earth, seems to behave so differently out in space.
Yeah, exactly. Why do astronauts float around, right? It's not immediately obvious. So we'll be exploring that sensation of weightlessness and, what's really going on with gravity beyond our atmosphere. It's going to be a good one.
So to really understand why things are different in space, I think we should probably start with the basics, right? What is gravity anyway?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we feel it every day, but what is it really?
Well, essentially, gravity or gravitation is this force, this invisible force, really, that everything in the universe exerts on everything else. It's always there, pulling things together.
Right. And it's not just like Earth pulling on us, is it? It's us pulling on Earth, too, even if it's just a tiny bit.
Exactly. And the strength of that pull between any two objects actually depends on two main things. The first, and probably the most important one for what we're talking about today, is their individual masses.
Mass. So, the bigger or heavier something is, the more gravity it has? Is that kind of it?
Pretty much. The greater an object's mass, the greater its gravitational pull on other objects. So, it makes total sense that Earth, with its enormous mass, exerts a much, much higher pull on us than, say, a person exerts on Earth. We don't feel ourselves pulling the Earth, do we?
No, definitely not. I'd probably be, super dizzy if I did. So that's why we're so firmly planted here then, because Earth is just so massive. Okay, that makes sense. So that's the mass part, which is pretty huge, literally. But you said there were two main things, right? What's the other one?
Yep. The second factor is the distance between the two objects. And this one is really important when we talk about space.
Oh, okay. So, the closer you are, the stronger the pull. Is that what you mean?
Precisely. The farther two objects are apart, the less effect the force of gravity between them has. It just weakens really quickly with distance.
That's interesting. Can you, give me an example to really, paint a picture?
Absolutely. Think about an astronaut near the International Space Station, the ISS. If an astronaut is floating free, only 10 meters away from the ISS, they're going to feel a certain amount of its gravitational pull, right?
Yeah, makes sense. It's a big structure, so it would have some pull even if it's not Earth level.
Exactly. Now, imagine that same astronaut, but they're 30 meters away instead. That's 3 times the distance. Would you guess they feel the same pull?
Well, given what you just said, no. Definitely not the same. It would be less, right?
Much, much less, actually. If they're 30 meters away, they'd only feel 1/9, that's 1/9, of the gravitational pull they would feel if they were only 10 meters away. It drops off really, really fast.
Wow, 1/9? That's a huge difference for just 20 more meters. So the distance really, really matters a lot. That's super significant. So if distance matters that much, Kira, then this must be why astronauts, feel like they're floating, right? They're really far away from Earth.
Exactly, Hero. That's the core of it. When we see astronauts floating around in the International Space Station or, doing spacewalks, it looks like there's no gravity at all.
Yeah, it totally does. It's whoa, zero gravity.
Well, it's interesting because it's not exactly a complete absence of gravity. I mean, the Earth's gravity is still there, pulling on them even way up there.
Oh, wait, really? So they're not in zero gravity. That's kind of a big misconception then, isn't it?
It really is. What they're experiencing is actually weightlessness. It's when they're far enough away from Earth for its gravitational pull to be balanced or even outweighed by the gravitational forces from the rest of the universe, like the sun or other planets.
So it's less about gravity disappearing and more about everything kind of canceling each other out or being so weak compared to other forces that it feels like nothing.
Precisely. It's that delicate balance that gives them the sensation of floating. Even though gravity in some form is always present everywhere, it's just not the dominant force they experience.
That's amazing to think about. It really changes your perspective on what zero gravity actually means. But, this whole idea of floating makes me think about something else I always wondered about.
Oh, what's that?
Well, if everything is just kind of floating, how do astronauts even eat or drink up there? Like, doesn't gravity help push our food down? I always assumed it did, just like carrying it down your throat.
That is such a common thought, Hero. And it makes total sense, right? You picture a glass of water just staying put in midair. But actually, astronauts eat and drink perfectly fine in space, even with that feeling of weightlessness.
Really? So it's not gravity that's doing all the work when we swallow, because, if you stand on your head, food still goes down, right? So there must be something else.
Exactly. That's where a lot of people get it wrong. It's not gravity at all that transports your food and drink into your stomach. It's actually the muscular contractions of your gullet.
Oh, the gullet. So, like, your body just automatically pushes it down. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's like a wave of muscle contractions that pushes everything along. So whether you're standing upright, upside down, or, floating in the International Space Station, those muscles are still doing their job. Food and drink just go right where they're supposed to.
Wow, that's actually kind of a relief. I was picturing them having to, squeeze things into their mouths very carefully or something. So eating in space, not as complicated as I thought.
Yeah, not at all. Well, Hero, this has been a really fascinating discussion about gravity, hasn't it?
It really has, Kira. We've covered quite a bit, from understanding that gravity is everywhere, pulling on everything, to how its strength really depends on how massive objects are and how far apart they are.
Exactly. And that, feeling of weightlessness in space isn't because there's no gravity, but more because the Earth's pull is balanced out there. And, of course, the fact that we can actually eat upside down or in space because it's our muscles, not gravity, doing the work.
Right. So that's pretty much wraps up our deep dive into why gravity on Earth isn't quite the same as in space. Thank you so much for tuning in, everyone.
Yes, a huge thank you from both of us. We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Tell Me Why English podcast. Do join us again next time for another intriguing topic.
We'll see you then.